Welcome to Right on the Money. I'm Rebecca Powers, here with our wonderful, informative, we call him the Professor, Tom Mosley of Mosley Wealth Management. How are you this week, Tom?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you, Rebecca?
Doing great. So I hate looking at national news because we're always worried about inflation and market volatility and all these things. We're told when we're younger, how much risk can you handle? What type of risk? Do we even know anymore?
Well, there's so many different kinds of risk. It's almost like saying, what kind of car do you drive?
Right.
Because right now, and a lot of these things, we didn't even talk about them a year ago or 2 years ago, but when it comes to retirement, there's inflation risk, there's investment risk, there's market risk, there's sequence of return risk. What that means, that's blah, 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 blah. That's a lot of words. What that means is, do you retire at the very top of the market? And then you see it go down. Because if you retire because you say, hey, there's enough money there for me to retire.
Right.
And then immediately, if 25% of it is gone because you're leaving it in a Monte Carlo simulation with a big box financial advisor, you've lost 25% of your money. And here's the way it works. Fuzzy math. That's the way it works.
That's right.
Because a lot of the big box firms, Rebecca, will say, okay, you've got $1 million, and 1 year you lose 50%. That's tragic. But twice since 2000, we've done that. So you're down. But then the next year you make 50%, and they're like, we're even.
But you're not.
But you're not. And then the next year you make 30%, and they send you out a 3-year report and say, you're up an average of 10%. 50 minus 50 is 0, plus 30 divided by 3. That's an average of 10% a year. But look at what the numbers really do.
Yeah.
That 1 million went to 500,000 when you lost 50%. When you gained 50%, it went back to 750,000, not 1 million.
Gotcha.
And then when you gained 30, you went back to $975,000. So $975,000 is a $25,000 loss, not a 10% average gain.
It really is fuzzy math.
It is fuzzy math, and you've got to know the math when you're talking about risk, because people are should be far more concerned about the pain of a loss than they are the glory of a victory when it comes to investing in the market.
And that's where that word risk comes in. I was asked when I was very young, 25, what type of risk do you want to take? I'm like, sure, the top, doesn't matter. But then I didn't hear from the big box for many, many years, and I think a lot of people are going to be stuck in that same situation, so it's very important to look at it. But what do you tell people when they say, oh, I'm fine, my guy's got me, I think I'm okay with this risk? It's not just risk on the stock market anymore.
Right.
It's risk on so many things.
Exactly. Exactly. My dad, when he passed away in 2014, took all the risk out of his money. He put his money in the bank, but he put it into a safety deposit box, $92,000 in $100 bills, and he thought he wasn't losing a penny. Well, let me round that up to $100,000. If you've got $100,000 sitting in the bank right now, and you say, boy, I'm so glad I'm not losing any money, look at the inflation report. You're losing 9.1% per year because your money is static and you're losing purchasing power.
Interesting.
So there's all kinds of risk that are out there. And there is no way on a continuum from I'm in cash and it's in a safety deposit box or buried underneath my pillow all the way till I'm in the most risky investment. You know that's a risk because you could lose your capital, but over here you could lose your purchasing power. And that's a key with retirement, is that if you've got a certain income, let's say you've got a pension. Pensions are great. They're an annuity that the company took out on you a long time ago because it's paying you out an annual payment. That's where they get the word for annuity. People sometimes they say, I don't like annuities, but they love their pensions and they love their Social Security, but it's paying you out a monthly income for as long as you live. That's what an annuity is, and they love it. But the problem with a lot of pensions, unless it's a government pension, is it has no cost of living raise. So you have a risk of inflation risk.
Gotcha.
Because you start making $4,200 when you're 65 and you retire, and you're making 42 at 70, and you're making 42 at 75, and by the time you get to be 85 or 90, you're still making 42, but that doesn't mean that the cost of a doctor visit or a prescription has stayed the same.
I mean, look at eggs. Really,
Yes.
I used to buy 18 eggs because my kid, I boil eggs, they love eggs. It was $2.50.
Right.
I went to Costco the other day. Almost $6.
Yeah.
And that was literally, I would say, in the last year and a half. So it is very, very real what you're saying.
I avoid that fear. I let my wife buy the eggs. I really do.
Happy marriage, let your wife
That's
buy
right.
the eggs.
That's right.
So it's a risky business dealing with this, but you don't have to be worried because you have specific kind of laser focus on the different tools and the tax code and the things you can be doing. Let's talk about that.
You don't have to be worried, Rebecca, about anything if you have a plan.
That's right.
If you don't have a plan, you know, and it's got to be a good plan. Mike Tyson was famous for saying that everybody's got a plan when they fight me until I punch them in the mouth. Well, what's happened in the last 6 months with your retirement is it's gotten punched in the mouth.
Right, we're getting punched in the mouth.
Yeah, because for 13 years, I mean, you were whipping everything that comes along, and risk didn't really matter because you were growing. You were growing for all but 2 of those years, and there really wasn't any downturn from 2009 till 2021. So it was growth, 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 and pretty much people went to sleep on inflation, and they went to sleep on real risk.
So did our legislators. Just kidding, I'm sorry.
No, they're always asleep, you know? And they'll even show them sometimes in Congress going to sleep during a speech. But the point of it is, anybody could do it. We talked about it a few weeks ago. It's an easy button. It's a button, you just push the easy button and money went up.
We've been on cruise control.
Exactly. I push the button in my truck and it starts, and I'm a great mechanic until it doesn't start. Every plan works until it doesn't plan. But in a plan, if it's a real retirement plan, you can't go to sleep on 13 years of a bull market. You've got to say, if you're realistic, and hey, let's face it, all of us that are watching this program are old enough to be responsible, to be realistic on this. The market doesn't always go up. There will be risk. And if it normally goes up for about 5 years and then it's down, up for about 5 years and then it's down, if you live a 20-year retirement from the time you retire until the time you pass away, and maybe you're married to someone who's 5 years younger than you and they live another 5 years, if you're married, then that's a 25-year period. You're going to go through times like this. And your plan cannot be based on something like the Monte Carlo model that we've also talked about, where you expect a 3% inflation and a 6% gain and take out 3, and it's all static every year, where it's just the same year after year. It's not year after year after year.
But
Things
year after
change.
year, not to interrupt you, but year after year after year is what the big boxes, they are still using the Monte Carlo
They're still using
model,
the Monte
and it's
Carlo
ludicrous.
model.
I mean,
That's
the
right.
numbers don't even match anymore.
The numbers don't match. You know, we probably need to take a break. I'll take your line for a minute.
Okay.
I want to talk when we come back
Okay.
about the numbers not matching, because there's some real ways that numbers don't match that's crucial to you when it comes to risk. Listen, if you're concerned about what your investments are doing during this terrible storm of an investment environment we're in right now, you need a second opinion. Let me tell you something. The worst place to go for a second opinion is to the same person who gave you the first opinion, because they're not going to tell you that, for the last 10 years I've been, they're not going to tell you any of that. You need maybe a second opinion. You need a release of some of the pressure that what you're reading and what you're seeing in the market is hitting you with. You need to call us. You need to call us, and I think this week they told us we've got room for about 20 appointments, and if you'll be one of the first callers to call and get on our schedule, one of our advisors can see you. You can call us at 866-709-1462. We will sit down with you. And the key thing is, we will listen to you, and we will not pull off the shelf a boxed plan, a cookie cutter plan that just says, here's what you do with risk, good times, bad times, whatever times are there. We will listen to you and listen to what you have and what you're trying to accomplish. We call it a retirement blueprint. And within that, we're going to discuss risk. And when we come back, we're going to talk about 2 different kinds of risk that are really crucial for you right now, and they need to match up. So, hey, scan the QR code, get on our schedule. We have 20 openings. Call us at 866-709-1462. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to find out if we want to work with you. We'd love to find out if you want to work with us, because we feel like we can bring a lot of comfort and relieve a lot of fear from people when they do go through times. Not if, but when they do go through times like we're going through right now.
Absolutely. And there's also, it's very convenient for you because they have several offices across Southern California. So
we're in Glendale.
Glendale.
We're in Scripps Ranch, and in the middle we're in Anaheim and we're in Chino.
And Jill and your whole staff, they're wonderful.
Absolutely.
So, and again,
better than me. People like them better than they like me.
And it's so true what you said about a second opinion. I swear,
right.
you need to. We need to start doing bumper stickers by Tom Mosley. You have so many great lines. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back. I'm Rebecca Powers. Thanks for being with us. We are talking about money, and more importantly, how you can retire the right way. I know that has been your passion for almost 30 years. Tom, we were talking about risk.
Right.
Have you ever found anyone who was kind of mismatched, like I was for so long and didn't know?
Yeah, so many people don't know what they don't know when it comes to risk. One of the things that we do as part of our retirement blueprint package is we take your current portfolio and we send it to a neutral company. They have no investments to sell. They're not making anything except selling reports. So they have no skin in the game, is what I like to say. And they will do an analysis on your portfolio, and they will tell you how much risk you're taking. Now, why is that important? In the past 13 years, the market's been skyrocketing. It's a bull market, whatever you want to call it. It's been up after up after up.
Yeah.
Anybody could do it. We've talked already about the easy button. And a lot of people have somewhat gone to sleep on their risk, and they've just fallen into a deal where they want to make more money. They see the market's up. A lot of years, 20% it's up, and they want to be a participant in that. Nobody wants to sit on the sidelines. So they take more and more and more risk. Warren Buffett said recently, about a year ago actually, he said the market is so high right now, it's like the tide coming in, and he said, we're going to find out when the tide goes out who's swimming naked.
Wow.
And because you're going to see who's really taking too much risk. We had a lady came in last year, and this lady was a sweet lady. She was 79 years of age. And I want to tell you right off the bat, she came in, she met with us, all of our meetings are complimentary, and she did not work with us. And the reason she didn't work with us was because she was making really good money with her box financial firm advisor. And we did an analysis for her because she asked us to. We did the Morningstar report, and she came and she had stressed to us. She said, I want to be very, very very conservative. And she said it like 3 times. She
Yeah.
would say, I want to be very, very, very conservative. And at 79, you should be very,
Absolutely.
very conservative. We did her Morningstar report. She came back. She was 123% as risky as the market.
Unbelievable.
Now, why was she happy? She
'Cause she didn't know any better.
She didn't know any better, and
How
it
would
felt
you?
good to see her returns, and she was getting great returns, and she was doing just a super, my broker's doing a super job for me.
Yeah.
But she wasn't very, very conservative. See, there's 2 kinds of risk. There's the risk that you're taking in your investments, and there's the risk that you need to be taking, and I point right here, in your heart. How much risk can you take
Yeah.
and still have the peace of mind to know that I'm safe, I'm comfortable?
Yeah.
My kids, I love them. Sometimes I love my dogs more than I love my kids, like a lot of people, but my kids are 25, 29, 32, 44, and 45. By and large, my children need to be in aggressive funds because they're not anywhere close to retirement. But when you get within 3 to 5 years of retirement, you need to be really concerned about the risk that you're taking. You might be playing a game like the Atlanta Falcons played about 5 years ago in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember it, but they didn't win, and they were up by 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. And then that dirty, dastardly Tom Brady brought those New England Patriots back, and they beat the Falcons because the Falcons kept taking risk. They kept fumbling. They kept running out of bounds and stopping the clock. And the clock was their friend. And a lot of people in retirement, they come to us, and we look at their portfolios, and they're really happy with what they're making in the 13-year run-up.
But they don't know.
But they don't know what they don't know, and when we come back with the Morningstar, they're confounded with, do I want to keep making a lot of money, or do I want to really take the risk level that we do an analysis called a Riskalyze, and it'll give us your risk level. By the way, this 79-year-old lady, her internal risk score is what we call it, was 24. And her risk of her portfolio
In
was
reality,
123.
100% more than she knew
99.
or thought.
Yeah, right there. So that lady wasn't matching up. Now, we've reached out to that lady this year. I got to be totally honest with you at all times. She hasn't called us back. She may be embarrassed at what she's lost. By the way, we did a little study. She's probably lost about 41% of her investment because, like Buffett said, she was swimming naked. She really
Right.
didn't know the risk that she was taking. So one of the things that we do when people come in, everybody gets this. Everybody gets, yeah, you say you're cookie cutter. No, everybody gets the same analysis, but everybody has different results, okay? We do the retirement blueprint, and in that, we have 2 risk analysis. We do a risk analysis on what you're invested in right now. A lot of people come in and they say, well, let me just tell you the amount of dollars I have in my 401k or my IRA. No, we're like a doctor. Take the shirt off, let's put the stethoscope on. We have to see what's going on inside. We have to know the actual investments. Hey, that's who we are. That's what we do because we legitimately want to help you. We're not interested in selling you something. We're interested in you if you're in your 60s or 70s or even 80s, but we're interested in when you're in those last 5 years of your life, you're not running out of money and you've paid as little in taxes as you were legally required to pay. So we'll take as part of that a risk analysis on 2 things, your portfolio, but we'll also give you this internal risk analysis that will allow us to look and see, this person's comfortable, Rebecca, with this kind of risk. And you know, in probably 7 years of doing those 2 together, I had one guy tell me, I'm not really comfortable with that risk score that came back on me. We put him in something a little more risky than what his
That's
risk
funny.
score said. He came back in for his next annual review, and he said, you know what, Tom, put me back down. I'm just too scared.
So you only had one person, you did it for 1 year, and then you said,
and
put
it
me
was
back down.
it was a year we made really good money for him, but he just knew
Yeah.
he was driving the car too fast.
Yeah, well, something, as you've taught us, it's going to correct.
Yes.
You can't go up for 13 years and not
Right.
expect it to correct.
Right. It's not a matter of if it corrects, it's a matter of when it corrects. And when it corrects, You don't need to be caught by surprise and say, wow, I never thought it would correct. You need to have built into your plan, it's going to correct.
Absolutely. So when people are mismatched and you wiggle around, you move the tools, how often do they hear from you? Because again, not to keep bashing the big box, but I will, because it happened to me. I did not hear from them for over 3 years. How often can they call you? Is any question too small?
They can call us at any time. We are not a humongous firm, but we have a full-time dedicated service advisor who does a phenomenal job, and all he does is there to field calls from our clients.
Perfect.
Now, I got to tell you, with the way we build plans, like in this big downturn that we're having right now, we don't get a ton of calls of people worried, because I go back
You
to the
have a
same thing.
plan.
We have a paycheck that's solid, and then we have a paycheck, and we have some calls. But you know, of the clients we have, we probably have less than 10 calls of people really concerned and worried.
Because
Not
you got
that people aren't worried,
Right.
but they know we've got a plan. And it's a plan, and let me say this too. A lot of companies will come across and they'll say, talk really big, use a lot of terms that people don't understand. Let them trust you as the advisor. Listen, don't do anything you don't understand.
Amen.
Because you are smart enough to understand the plan that you're in. And you're smart enough to know when it's going to work, how it's going to be built, and you've directed your money to apply to different things. You're smart enough to do that. Don't work with anybody who, two things, talks over your head, or if you're the other spouse who doesn't take care of the finances, never addresses you. You need to know as much about your finances, if you can, as the spouse who takes care of the finances. That's just a side note from all the
Yes.
work that I've done through the years in really working with the financial issues that women have.
No, that's great advice, and I really do appreciate that. We're going to take a very, very short break. There's the number 866-709-1462. Call now, meet the Mosley Wealth Team, see if they are right for you and if you're right for them. But if you're not, stay with us, because we're getting tons of wonderful advice from Tom Mosley. We'll be right back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life, and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Right on the Money. We're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you one last question, Tom. We've talked about 401ks, IRAs. What if you maybe have pensions? I own a few little rental homes. How do you take all of these kind of moving parts, planets, and kind of put them into one blueprint, I guess?
Would it surprise you if I answered with a story?
I'm not surprised. Most good
Okay.
teachers do. Go ahead, Professor.
𝗧cznie Lumber Company, you've probably seen them all over Southern California. One of the VPs of 𝗧cznie Lumber Company is a long-term client of ours, and I went to lunch with him one day, and he said, you want to come out and see the yard? This was on the one on Ball Road. Well, the yard is not your grass and stuff like that. It's a lumber yard. And I went out through the back door, and I saw all different sizes of lumber. There were 2x4s, 2x6s, different lengths. Under the shed, there were sheetrock and plywood and nails and boxes of other stuff. I don't know what it was. And up against the building, there were roof trusses. Now, if I were to have you drive down an empty vacant lot on your block and you were to see all of that material, what would you think they were going to do?
Build a house?
Build a house. Absolutely, build a house. Now, what people do, and sometimes, sometimes we bang about the big box people and the fact that they don't really help people with sustainable lifetime income, but they're sometimes pretty good at accumulating what I call the lumberyard, because they build the 401ks with you. They help you with the IRAs, and they help you with, your company helps you with the pension, and people come with the rental houses like you have. And you have all of these things. How do you take them and build them into a plan? That's why we call what we do the retirement blueprint. Because how do you take that lumberyard of all the things that you've accumulated through the years and you put it together into a plan? You have a blueprint. You have a blueprint. What if you were to try to build a house with all doors? What if you were to build a house with all windows? Well, I guess the old Crystal Cathedral in Garden Grove is the glass church. It's still there, okay? So, but it's different. Okay, you need all of the pieces to go together, but you need to coordinate them together by having a blueprint. And what is that blueprint going to address? It's going to address your income. Income that is guaranteed. That's a paycheck. You don't want your paycheck to be up and down and up and down.
Right.
It's going to be guaranteed. It's going to be increasing over the time. It's going to last as long as you're here, last as long as your spouse survives you. Adjusted for inflation. Your investments, we've talked about, they shouldn't be like a 25-year-old when you're 65.
Right.
It's going to address taxes. It's going to address health care, and it's going to address your legacy and what you leave. That, my friend, you'll never find in a 401k. You'll
Absolutely.
never find that in a 403b. The only place you'll never find it from a product vendor who's just selling you different product. You have to go with a comprehensive, holistic, you name us what you want to name us, but somebody who's going to look at the entire picture and put it together into a retirement blueprint. And then you can take your lumberyard that you've spent 45 years creating, and you can build it into a house you can live in and be comfortable in and be safe in throughout your retirement. Now, we've done that for scores of people. We can do that for you, but you have to react. You have to call in at 866-709-1462. This is up to you. We can help you in immense way, in many, many ways, but you have to call in 866-709-1462, scan the QR code. Please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you.
Absolutely, and we're so happy that you were with us at home. Thank you so much, and thank you, Tom.